DK's mic's pointing away from him.
I thought I'm supposed to speak through the beam, not at the mic.
No, you want the beam to hit you in the mouth.
How's that?
Looks better. It did look kind of pointing away from
It was just pointing away, directly away. Like
I was under the impression you were supposed to speak through the beam. So that's why I was mixed up.
What do you mean,
about
like throw your voice through it?
Yes, the waves of my voice go through the beam.
It's easier to do that if the beam is pointing at you.
No, then you're speaking directly into the beam.
That would be like if your mouth was the mic and the mic was talking. That would make sense.
We've been doing this for 5 years, and I just figured out you have to point the mic at your mouth.
What did you? What did you think?
Welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz. I am joined by Danny, Kelly, and Craig Horlbeck. DK just learned how to use a microphone. That was really fun. We are going to go over all the games from Week 18 of the regular season, which is over, by the way, which is absolutely crazy. We're going to go through the games, the playoff matchups, a little taste of the draft. We're going to go over like a bunch more coaches. I'm sure we'll be fired tomorrow. DK has a mock draft coming out this week. We'll hit more coach firings on Monday. We'll talk about what we know so far. Random players, Mike Evans, contract incentives. We'll get over everything. But right now, Lions-Vikings just ended. DK, now that you know which way the microphone's supposed to go,
right?
Were you more impressed with the Lions, or did you get more of the ick from Sam Darnold from this Sunday Night Football game?
Honestly, like the Vikings, it felt like the Vikings just blew so many opportunities in this game. It was one of those things where they could have competed, I think, to the end in this game and could have made it a close game. But there was several deep red zone trips they made where they either got just a field goal or, they ended up turning the ball over on downs or whatever. And then they also had that pick six. Andrew Van Ginkel just dropped what would have been an easy pick six. There's just so many opportunities in this game for them to like stay in it, play better. I thought Darnold played pretty poorly for most of the time. So it just felt to me more like a failure from the Vikings. Obviously, the Lions are just kind of like one of those teams that just grinds you to dust. And eventually they just took over the game. But that was my initial impression, is that the Vikings kind of just shot themselves in the foot too many times.
Yeah, the Vikings are doing everything in their power now. Now everyone's going to be off the Darnold train for the playoffs. And I don't know if I am or not. I can't tell. So now the Vikings are going to be going to LA to play the Rams. Darnold was terrible today. This is the worst game of the year.
Just kept overthrowing. This was his worst game in terms of missed. I think it was like off-target throws the most since he had that Seeing Ghost game.
Seeing Ghost game, yeah.
I don't know. I didn't hear Collinsworth or Tyrique talk about it, but he had his pinky taped up on his throwing hand the whole game. Did they mention that?
I don't remember them mentioning it.
They didn't really talk about it.
Yeah, which I thought was a little odd. Like he had this massive piece of tape going from his pinky all the way to the other side of his hand, and maybe that had something to do with it. But he was missing the entire game tonight.
Mm-hmm. It was weird. I mean, so the Lions won 31-9. That score's burned in my brain because that was the Chiefs-Buccaneers Super Bowl when the Chiefs got the shit kicked out of them. So I just think of that game. I don't know. It feels appropriate because that is what this felt like. Although it's funny because you're right, Craig, that like this will be used. Actually, I don't remember which one of you said that. One of you just 5 seconds ago was like, this will be used as like anti-Darnold. Oh, they shouldn't actually pay Darnold. Like, don't even bother. Just move on.
This is like night before the wedding. Cold feet.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny because it comes down to like a handful of plays. And on one hand, it's representative, maybe, because you're like, oh, when you're back, where's the drop back passing game? On the other hand, I'm like, well, shit. They were inside the 12-yard line. I think they basically went 0 for 12 on scoring a touchdown inside the 12-yard line. Like there was a point where I'm picking the 12 randomly, but like they basically came away with 6 points inside the 12 on their first 12 plays, which is like crazy. And the amount of plays where it's like Darnold is for some reason hitching and like not pulling trigger on a Jordan Addison play where it's a pick play. And then they had 3 straight targets to Justin Jefferson where it should have been a pick. And then it's Justin Jefferson kind of dropping it. And then he was overthrowing Jefferson. But I'm like, any of those plays hit. And then suddenly the game's really different. And you're right. Like Andrew Van Ginkel for the Vikings is out here like crushing Gibbs to begin the game on,
oh my God.
And then he's like almost pick-sixing a screen. But then by the end of the game, Jahmyr Gibbs ends this game with, I can't even count what he ends as
4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns.
Yeah, 180
the entire
yards
league in touchdowns. And 140 yards rushing. And they had another 30 yards receiving. So he has 4 touchdowns in this game. I believe 19 on the season. And frankly, he looked
20,
like
I think.
20. Yeah, sorry, because he had the 4th. He looked like the best back in the league today.
Yeah. I was thinking about this, like from a fan point of view. obviously there's so much discussion every year about like the true value of a running back. I don't want to get into that right now. From a fan point of view,
Yeah.
I'm the most jealous of the Lions because Gibbs is maybe the most fun player to watch in the NFL. I know like Jamar Chase probably would be like 1A, 1B with Gibbs in terms of like, if I could choose one skill player to come play on my team, it would probably be one of those two guys. Who would you guys put at the top of that list?
Oh man, if the Giants could get a player like Saquon Barkley,
Oh, that'd be so cool.
God, that would be. Can you imagine?
I'm good. I'm happy with George Pickens. I think kind of
Pat Freiermuth?
behavior wise, everything's
Mhm.
good. I don't know. Jamar Chase, I think it's awesome. Bijan, I think is awesome. I
Yeah.
found out last week that Bijan wants to be an actor, which I didn't know about. And he's
Dude,
like,
yeah, this is like, I feel weird about this. Bijan Robinson really, really wants to act.
he's like taking acting lessons. He has an acting coach. He has roles set up for the summer.
He was on, what did he appear? He appeared on a TV show, not like
yeah.
iCarly, but it was something like that.
Yeah,
Something
it was. I thought that was
iCarly-esque.
cool.
Carly.
And like
Uh,
we actually may or may not have taken a bunch of notes of this. Do you want me to pull up these notes I randomly have on him?
Yes.
Here, wait. I'll find
DK,
it.
while he's looking that up, the other guy is also on the Lions. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh, yeah. He's so great.
Oh, yeah.
The Lions are just.
Oh, here
so
we go. I
much
got
fun. Laporta, Jameson Williams.
I
Did he go
took
over
a-
1,000 yards? What did he get today? He was close.
He
I
did,
took a-
right? Isn't that why they
Jameson
passed him at
did.
the end of the game?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I don't know how we got on this, but my notes on Bijan Robinson: wants to be an actor, loves The Godfather. He started acting in college. He took a class, fundamentals of acting when he was at Texas. Shout out to his professor, Babs Chisholm. And he thought
Babs
about
Chisholm.
studying abroad, which for like an actual NFL prospect at Texas,
Oh, that would be
crazy.
so interesting. Yeah.
Like, I don't think I mean, maybe outside of over the summer.
Did he
I
go
don't
kinda
play
cool.
in
I
like
mean,
a
could he do
German
that?
league?
Well, he'd do it in the spring, right? And get away with it.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
think so. But so anyway, so he met Matthew McConaughey, and Matthew
Oh, yeah.
McConaughey
Yeah,
told
right.
him, "You don't act for the camera. It's behaving." He's like, "It's behaving in front of the camera, and you let the camera catch you." And Bijan Robinson was like, "Hell yeah,
He's like, what?
yeah." Oh, he was in the Outer Banks.
You're
That's what he
high.
was in.
You're
Right.
high, man.
Yeah, and apparently they still text all the time, McConaughey and Bijan.
Anyway, so yeah, I'd rather have Jahmyr Gibbs than Bijan Robinson. Jahmyr Gibbs seems to like his job. But the other thing I have to say about the Lions, so again, I can't say enough about this Lions team. We're going to talk about them a lot over the playoffs, but
They
get
deserve the one seed. If they
Yeah.
would have lost this game, it would have felt wrong. Them being a wild card 5 seed, going to
No.
LA to play the Rams, it just wouldn't have made sense. They deserved it all season. All the injuries, they fought through it. They got
like 3 more injuries in this game.
Dude,
They're
they
running
need
out
to
of
fight.
players.
Yeah.
So Tyrion Arnold, the defensive back they drafted in the first round, which was also sick because remember we were in Detroit. He came out to the stage. It was sick. And then they had Levi. Owen. I can say his name. Owen Tyrique.
Okay, nice.
Levi.
They got Anzalone back, which was nice.
Anzalone the Targaryen.
One of their
is
offensive
back.
linemen got nicked up at the end of the
Yeah,
game.
so
too.
Kevin Zeitler, do you know how many good former New York Giants are crushing it this season, including Kevin Zeitler, who was there like 4 years ago? Anyway,
That's the Oakland A's experience. You're like, oh, that guy's an all-star on the Yankees.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's an
It's
all-star
like
on the Red Sox.
I mean, that's like the Mariners too. Craig and I think, have similar like baseball background in terms of like.
yeah,
I'm like,
well, you know,
oh,
it's
cool.
like-
Josh Donaldson won an MVP
Yeah.
with Toronto. That's
It's
awesome.
so fun to see all our former great players go play for the Yankees.
You know how they used to
Sonny
load
Gray.
up,
That's
like-
awesome. Yeah.
they used to have the thing of like Derek Jeter, you could fill out a starting 9 with like his former girlfriends that were celebrities. It's like I could just have a great all-pro team of just former Giants. Anyway, there was something I noticed in this game about the Lions. I don't think I'd realized before, which is the offensive, like on defense, the defenders like swarm to the ball, but on good defenses, they like really swarm to the ball. Like a lot of defenders show up. The Lions are the first team I've ever watched where the offensive linemen swarm to the guy with the ball. And if they're not blocking anyone, they hit the guy forward. And
Do you
like,
ever worry about their own running back just getting squished?
yes, like it's not just the goal line. The Lions,
Pancake.
when
How did
he
he die?
gets
He got
hit,
squished.
they are hitting Jahmyr Gibbs from behind like every other play. Penei Sewell is just like rocking him, like even on like second down in the middle of the field, like they're crushing him
God.
forward.
Right to the kidney.
God, yeah, his bruises must be crazy. But anyway, yeah, no, this felt like the right outcome. And also, yeah, they did kick the shit out of the Vikings. And also, you know what? Let's be real. The Vikings are a fun team, and outside the Lions, it would be fun to root for the Vikings. But like, let's be real. The Darnold versus this is not even
The
close.
Lions
Like,
are
this is the right
America's
outcome.
team. Let's be honest.
So, okay, so you want to just go over the playoff matchups and everything right now? Let's just do it.
yeah.
We have all offseason to talk about what the Vikings will do with Darnold, but realistically, like, let's just see what happens. I mean, it matters whether they win a playoff game or not.
Yep.
So, So the Lions have a bye, thank God. Also, just the Lions home field, like the Ford Field becoming this incredible atmosphere, amazing place to play. It should be through Detroit. So I'm happy Detroit is the 1 seed in the bye. So the first game here, Eagles are going to host the Packers. The Eagles backups, I mean, they beat the Giants 2013. The game didn't really matter. So this is a rematch of not the first game of the year, the second game of the year. This is the rematch of the Packers-Eagles-Brazil game on the ridiculous turf, which Jordan Love got hurt at the end, and the whole thing was like a wash anyway. First of all, before we even talk about this game, how did you guys feel? I am obviously biased. DK, how did you feel about the Eagles not playing Saquon this week to not get him the rushing record and just like basically sitting him to rest for this game?
How many yards did he need? Like 110?
Like 100 and change. Yeah.
I'm fine with it personally because number one, like the record is not as important as winning the Super Bowl, and they are a legit Super Bowl contender. Number two, and this is actually, I think, maybe more like rational. It's this 17 game season now. Like he was going to get the record with one extra game. Like,
but every record's going to be like that.
I know,
Someone's
but
got to break it.
I don't know, but like in this specific case, like it's stupid. Like who cares? Like keep him healthy for the playoffs.
Fewer carries though.
A lot of Eagles fans I know were like, it's fewer carries. Who cares if it's more games?
I don't mind it either.
I didn't care at all.
I think if he needed 20 yards, I would have played him. But I was like, 110 yards. You're gonna have to give this guy like maybe 20 carries.
Right,
That's
right.
kind of a lot.
I think the argument got made. It's a perfect
with Tanner
example
McKee
of,
out there throwing passes.
Yeah, it's a good example of if you play him and he gets hurt, then people like us are going to be like, Nick Sirianni, you're an idiot. You should get fired. And honestly, you know what that happened with the Packers, who the Eagles are playing with this weekend? I think Jordan Love's fine, but he hurt his throwing hand in this game. Mm-hmm. Christian Watson came back from injury, played. He didn't get carted off, but he walked to the sideline and then like got carted away from the sideline. Not great. I do think the Packers offense is, I would say, noticeably different when Christian Watson is healthy or not in that offense this season.
We say this every year. What team is going to the Super Bowl? It's the one that gets healthy at the right time.
Or the Lions.
Yeah. Or the Lions.
Or the Lions.
Or the Lions.
Keep finding randos to like fill in and they're still juggernaut.
It's crazy with the Lions. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Packers blew this game to the Bears 24-22 to Chicago. I can't believe Chicago walked away with the win. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe it's good Matt LaFleur to get humbled on game management at the end going to the playoffs. Maybe it's actually a good thing, but I'm torn because I think the Eagles beat the Green Bay, but I would way rather be playing Washington or Tampa Bay than Green Bay, personally, if I'm a Philly fan. Like, I don't feel awesome about this game.
Yeah.
The spread's like 3 points. Craig, what is your gut right now?
Well, in general, I thought the whole thing was weird. I actually thought it was odd that the Rams didn't play their starters in this game because the Rams now had to play the loser of the Vikings and the Lions. So they're now playing the Vikings. Yeah. But had the Rams won, they would have been the 3 seed and they get to play the Commanders at home. And,
it's weird.
They basically gave up to play the Lions or the Vikings.
The Rams played your Seahawks, DK. Mm-hmm. And then what did the
They almost won the game with Jimmy Garoppolo.
We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't understand why they didn't play. I know McVay's like a big sit your guys coach, but I don't know why they didn't try to fight for the 3 seed and get the Commanders at home. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Rookie Commanders team instead of the Vikings, who they've already lost to, or the Lions. Yeah,
so for context, the Rams clinched a playoff spot last week, which I kind of don't think we talked about enough, and that's probably my fault, but like the Rams won 9 of their final 11 games incredibly, even though everyone was hurt. So like they clinching a playoff spot a week ago was crazy. And then basically, as Craig's saying, winning or losing today was the difference between playing the loser of this Sunday Night Football game. But if the Rams had won, playing Washington or the Tampa Bay, and I'm like, there's a huge quality difference. So McVay's, and again, to your point, Craig, McVay invented this whole, like, nobody plays in the preseason anymore. Like, McVay did that. McVay, his answer was pretty badass. He was asked, why did you not care about the opponent? And McVay's answer today was, we respect all but fear none. And I'm kind of like,
that sounds cool until you're like 10-point dogs to the Lions and you get boat raced. I don't know. Like, he got so lucky that the Lions won this game. I mean, the Vikings are still a tough out, but man, I don't know. I thought that was actually like his weirdest coaching decision in a long time.
It is weird. I mean, I guess he's basically saying I will take healthy Stafford versus everybody as opposed to getting banged up Stafford versus anybody. But it is,
this is tough though, because I do feel like the Rams above all other teams, maybe in the NFL, are like the biggest house of cards. If they lose like one of their key players, it all falls apart. But yeah, this is wild. The Vikings won 14 games. And they decided they're going to play one of these two teams.
No, DK, I think you nailed it. I think the thing with NFL teams sometimes is I think about this so much, there's so much complexity with the decision making, but then you break through everything they're considering. But on the other end, it's like things way larger in their minds than you think about. And you're so right, DK. You know what Sean McVay's probably thinking about? How fucking horrible September and October were. When it was just Cooper Kupp's hurt and Puka Nacua's hurt and Alaric Jackson's suspended and Havenstein's hurt. And I can't even name it. The Rams, Bo Limmer became one of the more experienced players of that goddamn Rams line. Like the Rams, I think they had 9 combinations of offensive linemen in the first nine weeks of the season. And I think that McVay was like, that sucked. And I like the same with the Eagles thing, actually. I think at its core, the Eagles did not play Saquon. Because I believe, and I could correct me on this if I'm wrong, email me, A.J. Brown got hurt in the final week of the season last year, and they didn't have him for the wild card game. And it's the same way they're like the Niners, like the Achilles tendonitis with McCaffrey. Why is he on IR? Well, Dre Greenlaw had Achilles tendonitis in the playoff run, and he tore his Achilles walking onto the goddamn field in the Super Bowl. And it's like the thing that happened most recently, like lingers big in these teams' minds. So I do think McVay's probably thinking about how fucking awful September and October was when he's making this decision. But we'll see. Like if they lose in the wild card round, it's kind of, also waging you all off season.
I kind of like this. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like you're trying it borders on like almost getting too cute, trying to figure out who you're going to play in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to face Washington. I don't want to fucking face Jaden Daniels. You know what I mean? Like he's a nightmare to defend. Not that I don't think they're as good of a team, but he's an absolute nightmare to defend. And so I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, be careful what you wish for. I can see both sides. I can see why McVay did this.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, the Vikings are clearly like a superior overall team.
I mean, I guess the decision looks better now because the Vikings just looked like crap. Maybe Sam Darnold's hurt. He hurt his ankle at the end of the game as well.
Oh my God. Yeah. So also, wait, can I admit something to you guys? I couldn't believe that time has just so warped in my brain. I have lost all sense of time. When they showed on the graphic during this Rams-Seahawks game that Jimmy Garoppolo had like played a lot last year, I couldn't believe that Jimmy Garoppolo had like made starts. I completely forgot that as recently as like
he started the
season.
He started the season for the Raiders, right?
The Raiders, Josh McDaniels. That was like last year.
I was racking my brain to be like, wait, which team is he on?
If you had asked me how long the Antonio Pierce thing had been going on, I'm like, oh yeah, since like 2022, 2023 or whatever. Like I don't know. That just felt. I couldn't believe that we were doing Jimmy Garoppolo on the Raiders like 11 months ago. I totally. Anyway,
time has no meaning anymore.
Don't you feel like he's been gone for much longer than that?
Yes.
I don't know. I couldn't believe that. Anyway.
So wait, let's keep running
the Rams
keep rolling here.
Yeah.
So that's the NFC. So the Eagles are hosting the Packers. The Rams are hosting the Vikings, which again, a 14-3 team, the Vikings team going to LA. And the last one is the Bucs are hosting Washington, which is a rematch of the Taylor Heineke game a few years ago, which is the only the team that really gave Tom Brady a run in that first Bucs game, which Taylor freaking Heineke for Washington. So the Bucs win the NFC South today, which, I mean, that game alone was hilarious because before the Mike Evans contract incentives and before Baker ends up winning the game, the Bucs are kind of getting rocked by the Saints. Like they won 27-19, but the Bucs couldn't move the ball on the Saints for like half the game.
Yeah, I got really scary there for a moment.
Division games, man. You just never know what to expect from division games.
Look, the Rattler and the Rizzler, they get a little frisky in January in the new year. We knew that. We knew that going into this game. Heifetz, I want to go through the days these teams are playing the wild card because I believe, I don't know if this is accurate. Double check me. The Texans are playing Saturday. They're the first game. They're playing at 4:30 Eastern.
Every Texans wildcard game. Oh, you saw that?
Yeah, every single Texans wildcard game ever has been at 4:30 Eastern on Saturday.
That's crazy.
What's the speaking of that, they just stick the Texans team in there. I'm like, this would be the worst team to go to the Super Bowl. I really hope they don't like all of a sudden get hot just by like playing ball control, slow, boring ass offense. What's the worst Super Bowl matchup that's now on the board?
That's fun. So just in general, what is the last matchup
like
you want to see?
The matchup you do not want to see. So like
it would definitely be like Tampa Bay versus Pittsburgh.
Well, my friend threw
How
out
dare you?
Broncos versus Vikings, I think. Like it's just like a boring game.
It's the
But I think
Steelers are definitely the team. I do not want to watch 3 more Steelers games.
Oh, God.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Is it Chiefs Eagles?
Yeah.
I'm good on that. I think I would actually take Buccaneers Steelers.
You're so
Obviously
right.
I would, but yeah.
Chiefs Eagles being like just hearing like 2 more weeks of like Saquon and the Eagles and Mahomes is good. And remember when James Bradbury held at the end of the game? I'm like, oh my God, spare me.
That might be dead last. I might take Bo Nix versus Baker Mayfield over that.
Yeah, at
That
least
would be fun.
at least Baker would get a couple weeks. That'd be fun. Yeah. So the Bucks. The best part of this whole game was after the Bucks had somehow secured the win, then getting the ball back and getting Mike Evans like 8 more yards for no reason just to get him over time. And they celebrate
I've
like
never
they
seen
had won
someone
the Super Bowl.
celebrate more.
They were happier to do that than make the playoffs.
They're just sobbing on the field.
Mike Evans better share that money.
He's
$3
not
million.
sharing it.
Well, let me ask you. I guess he is a great agent because, man, why would you allow Mike Evans to get $3 million every time he hits 1,000 yards? He does that every goddamn year. That's quite the bonus for something he always does.
So it's always that. I will say the list, as dumb as it is a little to chase this number, and again, it's been watered down where it's like it used to be a 12-game season, then 14, then 16, now it's 17. The list, though, is pretty crazy. It's just Hall of Famers. It's like tying Jerry Rice in anything over longevity is pretty crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I give you guys my intrusive thought on the day?
Please.
Yes.
I think we've gone a little too far with the incentive stuff. I think maybe they're trying to drum up interest in a really boring Week 18. I'm sure that's what it was. But my God, Schefter being like, Kyle Van Noy needed 2 sacks to get $250,000. I'm like, first of all, who cares? Second of all, I'm like, all these guys are rich. I don't care when one of them gets an extra $200,000 because he makes a sack or not. I think it's actually like quite weird to be like, if he gets one more interception, he gets $500,000. Like, this is a game show I'm watching.
Yeah, it's like a real life Mr. Beast is doing this.
I think it's like very weird. I don't like it.
It is funny to have like, if Micah Parsons can come out and get 2 sacks, we'll give him $1 million.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it that's so odd, and like the teams are going for it. And it's like the coaches designing plays around it. I don't know. The teams that have nothing to play for are just trying to force the ball to these guys to get them a bonus. I mean, it's like I'm happy for the guys. Sure,
you know what?
Like,
it's
your
like
money,
a Mr. Beast game show, but only rich people are competing.
Yeah.
It's only rich people trying to get more money.
Yeah. I will say, generally, Craig, I very much agree with you. But the one caveat is Geno Smith today made $6 million by hitting
6?
He hit 3 separate $2 million escalators on his contract.
That's
so
crazy.
he hit win 10 games and you get an extra $2 million. I think it was over 70% completions on the year. You get 10 mil, which he hit. And what was the third one? Sorry, 2 mil. Yards. It was his total yards, and he hit all 3 of them. Yes, he made $6 million.
I don't mind that these incentives exist. I'm happy for Geno getting his $6 million, but making such a public display of it, where in every game there's like 3 incentives, live incentives that you're watching.
Going to Wall Street and being
like a completely different sport.
I just made a great trade. Like, cool, man. Like, I don't
Fart
care.
coin
You're fucking rich.
It's outperformed the stock market.
What was that coin we found out about? Like piss coin? What was it?
Coin.
Yeah, piss coin.
Piss coin.
Piss coin and fart coin have outproduced like the last 100 years of the stock market.
So anyway, look, I'm happy for Mike Evans. That's all well and good, but
we need
to cool off.
Craig, I had the exact same thought.
I think this is what happens.
Am I supposed to care about this?
This is overkill.
Were there 13 backup quarterbacks today? It was like preseason quality football today.
That was my that was my intrusive thought. I was like, and this is not like a wild take at all, even remotely, but like it felt very pronounced today that the 16-game season was the sweet spot. So much better than the 17-game season.
Buckle up, DK. Get ready to learn 18 games, pal.
They're going to add a fucking 18th game.
17 is going to be a weird era. It's a prime number.
Yeah,
what an unserious thing to do.
They added a regular season game and took away 2 preseason games, and then we
are there only 2 preseason games now?
No, sorry,
3.
They took away 1 preseason game.
Yeah.
And so, but they essentially replaced that preseason game at the end of the season. So, like, we just watched the preseason today. For all intents and purposes, for almost all the games. It was. Do you want to hear a list of quarterbacks we saw today? I wrote it down.
Yeah.
Tyler Huntley, Joshua Dobbs, Jimmy G, Spencer Rattler, Joe Flacco, Tanner McKee, Trey Lance, Bailey Zappi. Do you know what team Bailey Zappi's on?
Didn't know he was on the Browns.
Joe Milton, Davis Mills, Mitch Trubisky, Marcus Mariota, Carson Wentz, Mike White, Malik Willis, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Those are the lists of the backup quarterbacks play today. That doesn't even include Mac Jones, Aiden O'Connell, Mason Rudolph, and Drew Lock also played.
Russell Wilson. Yeah.
Russell Wilson. Sure. Throw him in there. Literally like two-thirds of the league was just backup shitty quarterbacks. It was like literally watching preseason. I was so bored all day. This last game, Sunday Night Football, was great. The rest of the day, insanely boring. Just bad football.
Today was like going back to college
It was watching preseason. I was like, who's this guy? Never heard of this guy. That's awesome. Go for it.
This is why we need the first overall pick tournament. We need the losers bracket.
We do.
Because today could have been the Super Bowl of the losers. It could have been the Titans versus the Patriots for the first pick in the draft. Imagine how fun that would have been.
We should do that because it's so weird that the Patriots are just playing Joe Milton and trying to tank, and then he just beats the Bills since the Patriots don't have the first pick.
It's
and the
just
Giants
incorrect. It is the wrong way to do it.
It's so fun. It's true. Yeah, we really do need to forget. We'll get to the draft in a little bit, but like, it is crazy that the Giants and Patriots play their way out of the first pick in back-to-back weeks. Where, you know what, it would make so much more sense. Ironically, fantasy football's figured this out better. In Dynasty fantasy football, the teams that don't make the playoffs in Dynasty, at the bottom, the losers bracket, like in a regular season redraft, you play and like you win your way out of the toilet bowl. In Dynasty, if you want the first pick, like this year, if you want Ashton Genty or whatever in Dynasty next year, you have to win. You have to beat the other bad teams. So like the fourth worst team gets the best pick, and not like it makes so much more sense. And that is the NFL. I don't think they'll ever tweak it because, you know, things are going too well right now to mess with the schedule. But
they're going to get a fucking 18th game.
Yeah, the $21 billion.
They play on every goddamn day of the week.
The 18th game is going to eventually have a Super Bowl on Valentine's Day, and we're all going to have a little show. Yeah, we're going to have to figure that one out. Anyway, so we mentioned Bucks Washington. I do want to just say Terry McLaurin broke the single season record for receiving touchdowns for Washington's history, which is funny because Jaden got benched. But anyway, yeah, Bucks Washington. We'll see.
That's gonna be a fun game. I don't know.
It is a very fun game. That's Baker and Jaden. That's a lot of good energy. So that's the NFC. Gut right there. If the Lions don't, who do you think plays the Lions in the championship game? Do you think it's Philly out of the NFC?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Fuck.
I think so. Yeah. I don't know. The Commanders feel frisky to me for some reason, even though I know they didn't even play that great the last couple of weeks. I feel like, but again,
he's the man. But
Jaden Daniels is just a nightmare to fucking defend.
He is, but that team's so flawed. AFC Chiefs get the bye. It's so funny that like we're having this whole MVP conversation. Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes lost one game this year. Got the 1 seed. No one's even talked about it. So we have the Buffalo Bills are 13-4. They are hosting the Denver Broncos. First of all, the Broncos, the Chiefs so laid down for the Broncos. I've never seen anything like it. 38-0, the Broncos won.
Bo Nix started the game 18 for 18, I think.
18 for 18.
Couldn't do that in pregame warm-up.
Couldn't do that in pregame warm-up. I just love it when a quarterback shredded.
Somebody tweeted this. I can't remember who it was. Sorry about that. But it was like, of all the teams that are actively tanking, the only team that actually did it well today is the 15-1 Chiefs. Like the Chiefs were they're like, well, fuck it. We're not even going to try. The freaking Patriots won. The Giants won last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was.
Yeah, the Chiefs are the only team that know how to win game. Like they're like, oh, they know how to, finish games. Like the Chiefs know how to finish games and they know when to not start games.
Yeah, they even know how to lose games appropriately. Yeah, so the Chargers won today, which got them a matchup with the Texans, which I was desperately hoping that the Raiders were going to beat them. It kind of looked like that in the first quarter. Didn't work out. So now it's the Chargers are playing in Houston against the Texans. And then my Steelers will be going to Baltimore to play the Ravens on Saturday on Amazon, that game. It doesn't feel right, does it? Steelers-Ravens on Amazon Prime.
How do you feel about playing the Ravens?
Why, explain that. Why do you feel?
I don't know. That feels like the most old school, gritty NFL matchup, and seeing it just on a streamer that an e-commerce website. I don't know.
Should they add this? Didn't at the Golden Globes tonight they had on the wall in the what's the word, in the theater? They actually projected like which streamers were winning the most award, or which companies were winning the most awards in the arena.
Oh, did they? I didn't see that.
Oh,
it does kind of feels like when Amazon. Or when Disney bought Star Wars. You know what I mean? It's like, this doesn't
Lucasfilm,
sound right.
I don't... Look, I would have just rather played Houston, to be honest. I think Baltimore is playing really well right now, and they just kicked the shit out of the Steelers. And I would have much rather wanted to play Houston. I don't feel great about Pittsburgh going into Baltimore again.
I think Houston's the worst team in the playoffs, which is weird because they have Stroud and Will Anderson, and they actually have a good team. But I
was
think
it
they're
the
worst team in
game
the
they
playoffs.
lost 31-2 the other day?
Was
that why you think they're not very good?
31-2. 2 is worse than 0.
It is.
2 is worse
Because it
than
shows
0.
that your defense was like, all right, well, we'll get you 2. How about that?
I contend that was the worst game of the season.
Christmas Day.
Yeah. I think that was like the most useless game.
It was nice. It was the morning game.
However
Hopefully
many
people
there are.
were opening up presents and didn't have to watch that.
Well, in the
monstrosity.
Eastern Central Time Zone, which is where the overwhelming majority of Americans live, it was actually already the afternoon. But yeah,
Okay. Well,
Yeah, but that's not us.
sorry. I don't know what to tell
just
you.
Christmas morning at
Open gifts later on the East
4:30
Coast.
in the
then.
afternoon.
Sleep in.
Oh my god. Okay, so so yeah, I mean, just looking at these, so the spread on these games, just initially, I mean, I would really.
Should
like
we do
to
guess the lines? Just rip off Bill and Sam?
Should we just steal your idea? I already looked. So
I
it's up
already
to you
looked
two.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn it. I didn't.
I just am so happy to bet on Jim Harbaugh to beat the
Wait, let
Houston
me
Texans.
guess. Let me guess live. Texans at home versus the Chargers. Man, that's got to be close. Texans by 1.5.
No.
Chargers by 2.5. What is it?
Chargers by 2.5.
Yeah, okay. Steelers, Ravens.
What do you think it is? I actually, yes. Please guess this line. It's
Steelers,
Pittsburgh at
Ravens. I
Baltimore.
bet you is Ravens by 3.5. No, fuck. Don't tell me it's like. Don't
You're
tell me
inside
it's,
the bottle, Craig. You can't see the label.
Don't tell me it's 6.5. They didn't give him a touchdown.
Isn't it like 8?
No,
It's
It's
9.5. It's 9.5.
9.5?
What?
Oh, shit.
It's
That's actually-
9.5.
Great.
as Bill
What?
always does when he goes, "That's stupid. That is stupid. 9 is
Dude,
stupid for
I will
Steelers, Ravens."
say the Steelers. I think honestly, Craig, you didn't watch because you said you were with family, so you didn't watch the Saturday Steelers
I watched
game.
I watched like the last 2 drives and I caught up later, but it was a disaster.
It was the Steelers, frankly, were disgusting. Like they were awful. And I say that as a Giants fan. And I know it's the Ravens, they'll get back. It's like, they split the series this year, but like the Steelers at like the end of each half, this Pittsburgh just finds ways to do things I've never seen. But I don't know how to say this other than DK. I'm curious if you agree. Russell Wilson in the 2 or 4 minute drill, whenever they need to go good points at the end of a half, nothing about the way he plays suggests that he's been in the NFL for 13 years. Nothing about the experience. You'd be like, oh, yeah, not bad for a rookie. And you're like, this guy's 34 years old. Like,
Yeah.
he's scrambling for 5 yards. He's veering inbounds instead of out. He's checking down to people who cannot stop the clock. He's hurrying. Frankly, they had 9 plays on that last drive. 8 of them were like a massive mistake by someone or multiple people involved. Half of them, Russ, George Pickens drops, Pat Freiermuth drops. Like everybody messed up something on those, like on that final drive.
I kind of feel like, and I would love to go back and listen to what I said about Russell Wilson, but I kind of feel like I nailed the Russell Wilson experience when I tried to explain it to you, Craig, where it's like, there's going to be some magic and you're also going to end up probably hating him at some point. Because
I think I said this a couple weeks ago. Part of me wants the Steelers to get destroyed next weekend, so we
they
don't bring Russ back.
So
Yeah, because if Russ ekes out a win, he's coming back, guaranteed.
He's kind of collapsed, but this was like Heifetz. That was kind of, it's funny that you say that because I like was just flooded with memories too of like, even in the late Russell Wilson era during the Seahawks, when he was with the Seahawks, like there were plays where he would like spin 4 times and lose 35 yards on a sack. And it's just like, I just want to die right now.
Dude,
I can't believe you just did that. What year are you in? Throw the ball
Jaden
away.
Daniels plays with significantly higher football IQ at the end of games than Russell Wilson does. It's actually weird.
The Bengals gave
It's
up
wild.
27 points to the Titans, and the Steelers had 17?
They didn't have 200. Did they even have 200 yards in this game against the Bengals defense? Like,
The Steelers are in the most no man's land in the league because they have everything except the 2 most important parts, which is the offensive line and a quarterback. And it's been that way since Ben left, basically, is they've had no offensive line and they've had no quarterback, and everything else has been good. And it's kept them afloat, and it's put them in the most awkward predicament of not having good enough draft pick to take a quarterback. And they tried that with Pickett at pick 20. That didn't work. And so now they're just stuck. Their roster's too good to bail. And they're just in this awkward middle area where they can't move forward. And they'll probably beat the Ravens.
they'll probably beat the Ravens.
I just look
probably
at their roster and I'm just like, they don't have very many good players on their offense. Their
Keep winning,
defense is really good, but I'm like, Najee Harris is one of like the star players on your team. they have no one at receiver other than Pickens.
And Pickens has been going in the wrong
He's
direction for a
falling
month.
Literally,
now.
like he's running away from open balls.
6 targets, 1 catch for 0 yards in this last game. And then Pat Freiermuth, who I think he's like a solid tight end, but I mean, glaring in this game, he dropped what would have been a potential game change. They could have gone on to win if he had caught that play on 4th down. They would have been in field goal range, right? It was like at the 40 or something like that.
I think they would have been close. It would have been deep,
close.
but yeah.
But regardless, yeah, it's just like, man, I look at this offense, I'm like, they're very low on talent. This is not what I feel like a normal Steelers offense looks like.
If I know anything about the Pittsburgh Steelers, is that we should bet, based on this conversation, we should bet them to cover 9.5 points.
Right. 9.5 is a ton for Ravens Steelers.
I mean, I was going to say the Ravens Steelers. So the last time they played was 34-17. That was the first time it was not a single digit game in like 6 years or something. So, all right. So there's the playoffs. Obviously, we will talk about the playoffs, and we're going to have playoff previews. We're going to stick with the playoffs the whole season. And again, if you listeners for this season, we cover the playoffs, we cover the offseason, we cover trades and all the coach firings, which we're going to get to more on Monday. But we might as well get to the draft and all the stuff that's happened, so that we have the beginning of the draft order is set. Starting with the number 1 pick is the Titans.
Who saw that coming?
Which is so weird. I no offense to Titans fans, but
it stinks. It's boring.
Yeah.
Look, 2 weeks ago, it was the Giants and the Patriots battling it out for the number 1 pick. New York versus the Pats, and now it's Titans 1, Browns 2.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal. And so the Giants have the 3rd pick, Patriots have the 4th pick, which is hilarious because they beat the Bills and all they had to do was lose. And the Patriots got the 1st pick. Now they have the 4th pick, and then I think it was like 30 minutes after the game, they fired Jerod Mayo as head coach. Greg Rosenthal at NFL Network nailed it. The statement was so long that they definitely were going to fire him no matter what happened in the game. Because people were like, oh, they fired him because they won. No, it was like 3 paragraphs. Like,
they've had their PR people working on this for.
That thing was written this morning.
All those Hollywood outlets have eulogies written for every old celebrity.
Yes,
they're already ready. Like Al Pacino's has has been written for 5 years. They're just waiting.
That Jimmy Carter thing wasn't just banged out that day. Like that's been ready for like 25 years.
That's been ready since like
it'd be funny.
Clint Eastwood was in his 50s.
Dude,
he's another one that's been probably written for a while.
Jimmy Carter's
since
funeral,
the 70s.
Dude, no, it's crazy that Jimmy Carter's funeral is. I think it's Thursday. They are going to there are eulogies that were written, like Walter, like Mondale. And I forget a couple other people. Oh, Gerald Ford wrote a eulogy for Jimmy Carter like 30 years ago.
That's wild.
And they're going to read them. Like various people's sons are going to read what their fathers are. So like these people were eulogized 30 years ago.
He might have the record for the most years with your most years alive while your eulogy was already written. Betty White was up there.
Yeah. Very similar to how Carson Wentz played a football game today. And I was like, I thought you were dead.
Actually, maybe Betty White wasn't up there because Betty White always seemed in good health. Carter has been struggling for a while, it seemed.
It's not funny, but it is. The picture of him, they wheeled him out.
Picture of him and his wife from the home a few years ago where they looked like hobbits.
Anyway,
I think you didn't like that one.
No, I don't remember that one. I just remember there was one
where they wheeled him out for his birthday party.
Yeah,
it was like a
couple weeks ago, and he just looked like he was already gone. Anyway. Tasteless of us to laugh at this.
Oh, it's fine. He was 100.
He was 100. He lived a long life.
What are we supposed to do? Be solemn?
I mean, that's usually what people are when people die. Yeah.
It's a comedy show. We can't be held liable for anything.
Put that on the Chiron.
It's a comedy show.
Yeah.
But yeah, Titans with the first overall pick. I have to imagine here they're taking one of the 2 top quarterbacks in the draft, Shador or Cam Ward, right?
I think so. I think this is a really interesting way for the draft to shake out because I feel confident about one thing, which is Deion Sanders will not let Shador Sanders go to the Browns. Like I feel really confident about that because he like basically said it. I
mean, that's just being a good dad. Let's be honest.
He said a year ago, like he was like Chicago, certain teams, Panthers, they're not going there. I'm going to go ahead and assume the Browns are in the same conversation with the Panthers and the Bears. So if the Titans want Shador, I'd be curious to see if Deion's like the Titans are cool or like he would want to force the Shador to the Giants or the Raiders. But I feel like the Titans aren't bad enough. I feel like Shador could totally go to the Titans and they want to go first. So I feel like if Shador goes to the Titans, I kind of do think the Browns would take Cam Ward. People are going to be like, oh, they have the quarterback situation. That's the point. I don't know. They're run by like the Moneyball guys. Like Jonah Hill and Moneyball is still out there like running the Browns in part. And I'm kind of like, I feel
just can't get over the Browns. Deshaun Watson has like a $75 million cap hit the next 2 years.
But they extended his contract because they're trying to alleviate the cost. Like, he tore his Achilles. Like, I don't think he's ever playing for them again.
I know.
Like, I don't think Deshaun Watson's ever playing for them again.
Yeah, it's tough. Just fast forward a few years, get through this.
I think, but that's the thing. It's the opposite. You have Mr. Heifetz, actually the opposite. But like, they have to get a rookie quarterback to play well to make the contract work.
You can't unhear it.
I know, but they have to get a
it's the
rookie
opposite.
quarterback
Yeah.
to make the whole thing workable. It's the only way you can get the cheap. Like, what are they gonna do? Give Kirk Cousins like $50 million a year? Like, you need Kirk.
Just keep playing with Jameis. I don't fucking care. I don't know.
They didn't even want to play Jameis this year.
I know.
Anyway,
there's no good answer is the problem.
I think the Browns will take a quarterback.
Doesn't the number 2 pick? What does the number 2 overall pick make anyway? Because it's not cheap.
Well, I mean,
it's much cheper than it used to be, but it's
like
not
12
cheap.
million, 13 million.
Yeah,
I want to say.
What's 10? Well, how much could a
No,
first
it's
round
like
pick
8
cost, Michael?
What'd you say?
How much does banana cost?
How much could the second overall pick cost, Michael? What's 10 million more when you're already giving Deshaun 75?
Right.
Honestly, fuck it.
Rounding error.
Just keep throwing money at it.
I think this is a phenomenal spot for you because if the Titans and Browns take 2 quarterbacks, then you're off the hook. And the tank
Get
for
Travis
Arch,
Hunter. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Then the tank for Arch continues. Or, if only one quarterback goes, it will be nice that you don't have to choose the wrong one and get killed for that. And then you still don't have to take him. If he's sitting there at 3, it's not a big deal. And you can trade out.
I've made peace with this very quickly.
It's nice. I like 3 for the Giants.
It's great how quickly we talk ourselves into stuff.
You're totally, no, it's honestly, people are very adaptable. I agree. I think this is a great spot. And again, by great, I mean, I probably should have the first pick, but the Giants, I love Travis Hunter. They need a cornerback. Giants need a number 2 receiver. There you go. You got both. Travis Hunter and Malik Neighbors. Sick. Travis Hunter, cannot stress how much the Giants defense needs a fucking cornerback. The Giants cornerbacks suck. It would be wonderful to watch Travis Hunter actually try to play quarterback for this team. But then the Patriots, I mean, firing Jerod Mayo, this was a pretty stunning turnaround. I got to say, I know the Patriots got themselves out of the first pick, and I know Bill is probably going to go to show and be mad they don't have the first pick. This was pretty good for the Patriots, though, because for them to be so bad down the stretch and frankly so embarrassing, that the Crafts actually took the L and fired their handpicked successor that they had contractually committed to years ago, and they just bailed on the plan after 1 year because they saw the Jets. Like, Mike Vrabel feels like he leaked interest in the Jets to get the Patriots to hire him and fire Mayo. If you're a Patriots fan and you now know Drake May is good, Mike Vrabel is probably going to be your coach. Mike Vrabel does not have the pressure of being Belichick's direct successor and actually gets to clean up Mayo's mess instead of having to live up to Belichick. And Mike Vrabel's the only actual real successor to Bill Belichick that actually exists. This is pretty perfect. So who gives a fuck that you have the 4th pick? You weren't going to get a quarterback with the first one anyway. The trade down, honestly, no one was going to probably trade with you anyway. And so, I don't know. This is a pretty amazing spot for New England. They're going to get a left tackle. They're going to get Vrabel. They have May. They got rid of Mayo. This is almost the perfect run out for New England's season, to be honest.
I mean, I think you could quibble with with the top pick, they could trade down and get a lot. But yes, I think this is fine.
Could they? Because I don't know. I don't know. It's easier said than done.
Sure.
If everyone knows you don't need a quarterback.
Right. It's like, if the Giants were sitting there at 3, are they going to trade up with the Pats at 1 to get? I don't think they would, because they know the Pats aren't going to take anybody. They would still get a quarterback. This is smart. Look, when the Cardinals took Josh Rosen and he sucked, and they were like, you know what? Fuck it. We'll get Kyler Murray. This is what the Pats did. They were like, you know what? We missed, and we're just going to go get Mike Vrabel.
Craig, that's exactly what it is. It's the coaching version of Josh Rosen for Kyler.
Sometimes the best quality you can have is admitting a mistake as soon as possible.
That's what I always say about the Crafts. They're great at admitting errors. Very self-aware.
Yeah, right. Bob Kraft went to that roast, remember? Yeah.
The one where no one can make fun of him?
Yeah. He took a shot with Bill Belichick.
The roast with rules.
The roast where Tom Brady's like, make fun of my ex-wife's sex life all you want. Just do not talk about my former employer.
Yeah. My children are watching you talk about their mother having sex with a jiu-jitsu instructor, but don't touch Bob.
Jesus.
Interesting choice of words there, Craig.
Phrasing.
We're not doing phrasing anymore?
We're not doing phrasing. All right. So tomorrow's episode, at the toward the end of Monday, where we usually put out waivers, we're going to put an episode just recapping Black Monday. We're going to figure out, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. The Giants and Dable, and I'm sure more coaches are going to get fired. Some are going to stay. We'll hit all that. And also DK has a mock draft coming out Tuesday, right?
Yep.
DK, I believe. So we're going to talk about DK's mock draft, and we're going to talk about more of the coaches that get fired. So we'll hit more of this stuff tomorrow.
It's weird, dude, putting together a mock draft where we know the actual order of the first 18 teams. It's starting to get real, guys.
That's real. That's
kind of fun. I'm kind of starting to get that excitement again for the draft.
Yeah, so we'll hit the mock more. The one thing I do want to hit on today's show is that Tyrique Hill wants a trade.
Yeah.
And he basically was like really frustrated and said, I'm too much of a competitor to be here. I thought
Yeah.
this was 1/3.
Then he tweeted after that. He was like, basically, goodbye, Miami. Thank you for everything.
It was so odd because the interview, it was like a 2-minute clip.
Yeah.
And it's at the very end of the clip. He's like, you know what? It was like he said, like, it's almost like he accidentally said he wanted out. And then he just was like, I got to double down because I said it. Or because he basically was dancing around it for the entire 2 minutes. He was doing a perfectly fine-ish job being like, the quarterback got hurt, whatever. And then at the end, he was like, yeah, screw it. I'm gone.
I got to get out of here.
See you later. I'm done. Like, officially, I'm
I
gone.
got to do what's best for my career.
Yeah.
It felt like 1/3 just pure frustration, end of season in the moment, just like living in your feels and just being upset because he didn't get to 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
And so I think he's just upset about, a guy going for 2,000 yards didn't hit 1,000.
Can I throw an interesting stat at you? We'll do more of these later. Juwan Jennings had more receiving yards this year than Tyreek Hill.
And Tyreek didn't miss a game.
In two fewer games. Darnell Mooney also out yarded Tyreek Hill. Wild.
Juwan Jennings would have got 1,000. He got ejected from the game very early in the Niners game. He's still being
right.
So he really played like 3 fewer games. But Tyreek Hill, it felt 1/3 like upset about just being in the moment, and 1/3 he wants a trade, and also 1/3 super upset he left the Chiefs and that they won 2 Super Bowls without him and they don't need him and they're going to maybe be the first team to ever three-peat in the history of the NFL. And you took a little more money to go to Miami and you would literally it's like you left the Bulls with Michael Jordan
for a trade.
Yeah. He literally left the Bulls with Michael Jordan. Like that's what he did.
Yeah. In that clip today, he was like, this is my first season ever, not in the playoffs. He's like, this sucks. I want to go to a good team.
Welcome to the party, pal. Oh my God.
I will say his stats were better last year than they ever were, which I think matters to him. Well, I guess his 2018 year was pretty up there too, but yeah,
there's a lot of good trades that have happened. It's funny. I think that some of the best trades and some of the worst trades ever have happened in the last 4 or 5 years. Because in the last few years, you had Justin Jefferson for Stephon Diggs for the pick that became Justin Jefferson, which is incredible. The Goff for Stafford trade, which especially
AJ Brown for Treylon Burks.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That one worked out.
That was great. And then what's Tyreek Hill for Dolphins? Tyreek Hill, offensive player of the year, and the Chiefs won 2 Super Bowls anyway. But then also the worst trades have happened. Any other object permanence all-stars? There was other guys that I just couldn't believe were playing football still. Like for me, it was Jimmy Garoppolo and Carson Wentz. Like I just thought I was having a fever dream the whole time.
Yeah, really. Week 18 is really, if you kind of don't. I saw Dante Pettis caught a touchdown, and I was like, is this 2019? Dante Pettis is in the NFL? What the hell?
What year is it?
I genuinely did not know he was in the league.
I did not either. Wait, what team was he on? The Saints?
Wow. You know what? I don't know. Saints. No,
you didn't write it.
Yeah, it was the Saints. It was the Saints. Yeah.
I had that.
That's how quickly it went out of my brain.
Yeah. It's like, wow, he's just really hanging in there.
Dude, the other guy like that is Allen Robinson.
Oh yeah, he's on the Lions, right?
He's on the Lions. He was on the Giants to start the year.
Yeah, Steeler last year.
Yeah. Right when Jimmy G was crushing it for the Raiders. That incredible era.
2 other players today that I was like, oh yeah, that guy. Miles Sanders today, 66 yards and a touchdown plus 50 yards receiving and a touchdown. His best game by far this year. He had 25 half PPR points. In the rest of the season combined, so weeks 1 through 17, he had 40 half PPR points. The other guy who I still will go down forever as the guy that I still believe is good is Dameon Pierce.
Completely agree.
He had like a 97-yard touchdown today or something like that.
Every time he gets 10 carries or more, he's good. I don't know why.
But then he also looks terrible in like the 4 opportunities they give him the rest of the year. Today he had 19 carries, 176 yards and a touchdown. He had 23.6 half PPR points. The rest of the season combined, he had 19 half PPR points.
I would happily replace Najee Harris with Dameon Pierce for a
confounding player.
Let's make that happen.
The other people, I think it's always funny in week 18. It's just the thanks for nothing guys, like the guys who, like kind of like.
Oh yeah,
Dameon
now
Pierce,
you score a touchdown. Thanks.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor is the poster child for that this year, who like decided starting in week 13 to go on a 2,000-yard pace. Again, today, he absolutely went nuts, and nobody with him, which was myself, made the playoffs in fantasy with Jonathan Taylor.
He has 600 yards and 6 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, he's been going nuts. He got hurt this year. It's been all in all a rough year for Jonathan Taylor, although I still think he's like one of the top 5 running backs in the league.
The Pat McAfee, like being like, yeah, the only players in this team that are good and leaving Taylor off the team was kind of wild.
Genuinely, maybe the most underrated running back in the league, I think.
The
Jets offense today?
Dude, okay. Is there anything more? Yeah. Is there any more thanks for nothing than Rodgers once the Jets are an embarrassment, throwing for 4 touchdowns, getting himself his 500th touchdown, and just being like having a great time and looking great?
And he was quite euphoric. It was like the last crusade, him and his dad riding off into the sunset. I was like, man, Rodgers is like, it felt so
to be clear,
fulfilled.
Indiana Jones' dad, not Aaron Rodgers' dad.
Correct. Rodgers felt so fulfilled.
They're not talking.
He had that interview after the game. He felt very zenned out. I'm working on a Rodgers.
Yeah, where are you now with this?
I'm kind of working on like a. I watched more of the doc. I still haven't finished it, but
Sean Fennessy, he's gonna strangle you.
I think there's a serious chance Rodgers never plays again. The way this draft ran out is very bad for Rodgers because there's a very small amount of teams that need a quarterback, and if you look at it, the Giants are out, right? Like the Giants, even if it made sense, they're not taking the Aaron Rodgers Jets sloppy seconds. The Titans made sense, but now they're going to take a quarterback. The Browns, I think not, but also Kirk Cousins played for Kevin Stefanski in Minnesota. I think that if they're going to take a veteran coming off of Achilles injury, they're going to take Kirk Cousins. So that, I mean, you can't have Deshaun Watson, Aaron, or Aaron Rodgers employed by the same team. So
what if Stafford retires?
Would he?
I don't know.
I mean, maybe, but like, I don't know. I guess I just look at it. It's like the teams that Rodgers could play for. The list is honestly the Raiders, the Saints.
No,
like the Steelers are like third if the Russ doesn't resign. And like,
it's crossed my mind.
Steelers.
It's crossed my mind. My what I was going to say was that like in a vacuum today, watching Rodgers speak after the game, I actually thought he came off quite well. And maybe he's just very good at controlling his image and seeming likable when he wants to. But it's just funny.
He's a psychopath.
The Jets season, had it gone just a little bit differently, I feel like so many more people would be back in on Rodgers. Like the doc actually, I think paints him of course it paints him in a good light because it's a documentary about him, but it does the right amount of like painting him as like a kind of an egomaniac and somebody who like has this will to get back on the field and he cares so much. And seeing him in interviews in the last few weeks, and he's like, he's talking about how he's not going to put pressure on the Jets. And he's like, look, I'm not going to drag this thing out. Like tomorrow or the next day, I'll talk to the Jets and see how they feel about me. And if they're interested in having me back, I would love that. He came off like just quite, quite nicely. And it's there is a different world in which if they won 3 or 4 of those tight games, the narrative on him is completely shifted. That's all I'm saying.
He's eating up the Aaron Rodgers propaganda.
It just could be completely different if like 2 field goals went the right way.
I mean, to be clear, if 2 field goals had gone the right way, instead of being 5 and 12, they'd go 7 and 10.
Whatever. If they went 8 and 9 or 9 and 8, which I think was in play, things would be different.
They should have not fired Saleh because, again, they had one of the best defenses in the league before and then one of the worst ones after, which maybe they should have saw coming. But no, I see what you're saying. It's funny because Rodgers kind of seems like a crazy person who left Pittsburgh, and you're like, damn, how did Mike Tomlin cover that up? How crazy that person was. He should go to Pittsburgh, and we'll forget how crazy Aaron Rodgers was.
Get Tyreek Hill and Rodgers. Will be great. That's all we need.
That's kind of
Pickens, Rodgers. Imagine Pickens and Aaron Rodgers.
They would get all thick as thieves.
I don't think so.
No, they would. And
I think there would be a
Devontae because it's a package
deal.
deal.
Yeah,
right. True.
Honestly, they wanted a.
Okay, I'm kind of rooting for this now.
Yeah,
Me
I kind
too.
of
Who
want that'd be
cares?
great for content. Yeah, that'd be okay. So
Just want
yeah,
Craig-
Rogers.
I want Craig to have to live this take.
I don't know what's happening to me, but there's something percolating.
Okay, do you guys have any?
Watch the doc and he's all in now.
I'm not all in. I'm just saying. Anyway, moving on.
Seed of doubt in the back of your mind.
Intrusive thoughts. I did have one other intrusive thought today, which was, do you think the Patriots would trade Joe Milton to the Giants? Like, what do you think the Giants need to give up for Joe Milton?
You're in on Joe Milton after today?
He did look pretty impressive today.
I know that he's bad. I just feel like I just like saw a thirst trap game today of like the Bills team trying to lose on purpose. I also saw Joe Milton do two things today where I'm like, there's like 5 people in the world who could do that.
The touchdown he threw when he was drifting to his left, and then he like rifled a pass at like 150 miles
one that
an hour.
it didn't even count, but it was like he
I
did.
was like, okay. I
He
sat up
spun
in my
away. He is. I know it's not literally true, but he feels like he's a full foot taller than Kyler Murray, but kind of moves the same way, where he can just kind of like spin away from defensive ends. But yeah, it was honestly one of those incredible plays I've seen the entire year, where he was just spun away from the guy and then just threw like none of that should be physically possible. And I would like Joe Milton.
Yeah,
to play
but
for
the problem with this is like if you're going to try to trade for Milton, they're going to ask for too much, and then you're going to end up trading too much for a guy who's
sucks.
Very much a huge question mark.
Yeah,
As I said,
you're buying at the
DMing,
absolute
right.
tippy
I'm
top.
sliding in the
value.
DMs on a thirst trap.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah.
I would like to. I thought he was very impressive.
Honestly, no. You know what it is? It's like you went to a strip club and you're like, no, I think she likes me.
Yeah, right.
That's what I felt like seeing Joe Milton today. I'm like, oh,
we had a connection.
I want her number. Like,
her eyes lingered on me.
Yeah, no. But like, really, there was something there.
This is sort of the opposite of that thought, Heifetz, but the thought I had today, and I wrote this down, and then Greg Olson actually said it, so it was very validating. But I was just thinking to myself the whole day, I was like, it's actually kind of wild how much worse backups are than starters just in the NFL, across the NFL. Like the players who are good in the NFL are so good. And it's like wild how dramatically, tethered to like how, teams are so tethered to how good these players are. And if they get hurt, it all goes to shit. It all like suddenly, especially quarterbacks, obviously, but like offensive line, receivers, the level, like the difference, the gulf between like good starters and stars versus like backups is insanely huge. And I think it was like today, I was just like, wow, holy shit, this is like terrible football for the most part.
You know why? Other than the obvious like talent gap and they're bad, the backups don't practice once the season begins.
That's
like
true.
Tanner McKee for the Eagles, dude. You think Tanner McKee looked better than Kenny Pickett? Tanner McKee not thrown a football since fucking the first week of September. Like he sits there in practice and watches. Like that dude's not getting.
He should practice like kicking.
Yeah, like honestly, like he is literally simulating they're guessing what the opposing team's offense is going to run on air. Like he's not doing anything. So for him to step in and play like that, you're like, oh, he's actually a lot better than Kenny Pickett. Like none of these, like Trey Lance. I bet Trey Lance has not actually thrown a goddamn football like for realsies in practice against Micah Parsons in months. Yeah. Like, but you're right. None
Trey
of these
Lance
guys
also
play.
kind of looked a little interesting today.
DK, you're very right. The fact that every year, like 10 quarterbacks get cycled out of their starting position and a new 10 come in just shows you it's like, man, we can only really find like 15 to 20 of these guys in the world every year that are decent enough to start.
It's wild.
Play of the day. The Mike Evans contract thing was really fun.
That was funny.
The Joe Milton touchdown that didn't count was incredible. The Bo Nix threw a touchdown that was crazy. It was actually the one. Bo Nix had fucking 29 touchdowns as a rookie, which is insane. This is the second most touchdowns, I believe, ever.
I've got some stats on Bo Nix for you.
Please.
I'll throw them out for you right now. Hold on.
Week 18's tough. You almost have to not. I mean, they played the backup Bills. You almost have to not look at it. You know what I mean?
I know. It is.
Bo Nix
don't look at it directly.
It's stat padding in a lot of ways. Here's something for you because I put together a bunch of stats where I was just like, what the fuck? Bo Nix scored more touchdowns, 33 total, 29 pass, 4 run, than Jaden Daniels this year. Jaden Daniels had 31 pass touchdowns. Oh, sorry, he had 31 total touchdowns, 25 pass, 6 runs. So Bo Nix 33 touchdowns, Jaden Daniels 31. I was just like, what? And then Nix had almost as many yards total, 3,775 yards plus 430 rush yards. So he had 4,200 yards. Daniels had 4,500 yards essentially. So like they had statistically, at least just the basic stats, very similar seasons, which is pretty wild. Bo Nix, above and beyond what I expected. And what
but I had previously existing biases against Bo Nix, so I don't really care.
Right, correct.
I will dismiss all that because
that's how you can sleep at night with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bo Nix, pretty good season. I don't think he's going to win Rookie of the Year though.
Bo Nix is going to be an NFL starter for a dozen years. It's not even like quite. He is frankly further ahead along than Drew Brees was when he was Drew Brees' age, and I actually don't think it's particularly close. I'm not saying
how many years was Drew Brees in the league before he was Bo Nix's age though.
Well,
that's a good question.
I honestly, I'm not saying that to be cheeky. I don't know. Let me look.
I think Drew Brees was the first pick of the second round, but he's definitely a senior.
Brees was drafted when he was 22. He was 25 by his fourth season.
Yeah, that does change things a little bit.
Are you serious?
I think so. Yeah, his age 25 season was his fourth year in the league.
Yeah, he was drafted in 01. He was born in 79. So yeah, he's 22.
Whatever. Bo Nix can still be a starter for 10 years, and that's a very good pick. So
I will say, Brees in his first 2 seasons in the league only had 28 touchdowns, not counting his rookie year.
Bo Nix is 24, actually, for the record. So
I know. I do feel like we start to inflate these guys' ages more than
he's 43 years old.
Yeah,
Heifetz called him Boomer Bo Nix for the entire preseason.
He started more games than anyone each day. Dude, he was a pre-COVID college football player that was drafted this year. I saw him play in 2019. I'm supposed to get over that? Do you know how much of my personal life changed between 2019 and like April?
Yeah, we aged
Nothing
like
in
presidents.
my life is the same.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson is going to be in and out of the league before the age Bo Nix was when he got drafted.
We didn't have this show in 2019.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes.
It was called the Danasty. We were doing the show with Mike Lombardi in 2019. So much has changed since then.
Dude, that's wild. Yeah.
I couldn't get over it, man. It's amazing that he's doing this. Sorry. Anyway.
There's a couple other plays I want to mention. Derek Barnett had a thick 6. It was technically a fumble 6. But I can't remember exactly how it went, but he like rocked the hell out of the running back and then picked up the ball and scooped and scored it. That was super fun. And then also the Bears did this in the last game of the week or gas game of the year for some reason. I don't know why they waited to do these plays till everything was over.
I know.
They did the super slick. This is one of my favorite plays in football where everybody on the punt team pretends the ball is going to one side of the field. So they all block to say like the right side of the field. Or sorry, in this specific play, everybody blocked to the left, like for the offensive left. And then one guy went and caught the punt on the right and just like ran up the field and scored a touchdown. Like I've seen it happen.
By this?
It's happened a couple times in the NFL. I just think it's so fun. It's such a fun play.
So this only can work if the ball is punted dramatically to one side of the field, right?
Yeah.
And they only
reliant somewhat on the punter doing a certain thing.
And then basically one of the two guys back there who's going to catch the punt, if the ball's not coming to him, he has to immediately recognize that and then pretend to do the fair catch, right? That way all the blockers know who to run to. Because
he just makes a big show of running over to it. And the other
you
guy
basically have to quickly identify the ball's not coming to me, and then you make a big show as if it is, and then all the blockers notice that and run to you.
I think it's a sick play.
Usually really enjoy that play. It's fun. The Bears doing it in the last week of the season, I was kind of like, what the fuck was that in the first 4 months of the goddamn season?
You waited a little long on that one.
You waited till week 18 to pull this shit out? I was like, why are you doing that now? Just save it for next year at this rate. What the fuck?
I know.
I was like, what are you doing?
So I want to say the Rams did this to the Seahawks a few years ago. And I was like, man, that is like the coolest fucking play. I just love it. It's so tricky.
I'm like borderline. I'm like, why don't teams do that every single time?
Oh my God. There's so many things. Like why don't you build the whole plan of the black box? There's so many times in football.
I'm like, if you just did that every time, that wouldn't make it any easier.
Gilmore, I should just make a hole in one every time. It's so much easier.
I'm like, it doesn't make it any easier. The defense still wouldn't know who to fucking run to.
Yeah.
There's so many things like that. We should make a list one day of just like, why don't they do that every time? Worst play of the day.
It had to be for
Bears,
me, dude.
Keenan Allen with the trick play where they were triple cover and he just threw it anyway right to the defender. It was picked.
It's like, I'm not reading the defense out here, guys. You told me to throw it.
Pat Fryermuth dropping the best Russell Wilson pass of the night with 10 seconds left in the game to potentially win and play the Texans. I mean, come on.
That was bad, but that was like the third worst play of that drive. That was every play in that drive was bad.
Dude, that ball could not have been thrown any better.
It did hit him in the hands in stride for the game on the line.
Did you guys not see the Olamide Zaccheaus drop today?
No, I think I must have missed it.
On the trick play. Shout out Sam Forty at the Washington Post who did a TikTok on Thursday. It was like, they're going to run this trick play. I've determined this. And then they did. And then Zaccheaus dropped the pass.
I've never seen, and Zaccheaus has been awesome, so I feel okay like making fun of him a little bit about this because generally speaking, he's been awesome the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It was the worst catch attempt I've ever seen in my life. It was like one of those plays where a guy's trying to catch a punt and he doesn't know how to put his hands. And it's like, oh God, should I like scoop it? Or should I put my hands up and catch it? And he just didn't decide. He just kind of went in the middle and tried to clap at it. And he was wide open. It was the worst hands technique from a receiver who has actually caught a football before that I've ever seen in my life. It looked like he'd never caught a ball before.
Yeah, it was really bad. Maybe he was alarmed that the whoever's throwing him the pass was left-handed. Maybe it threw him off.
Well,
it was like spinning different.
Yeah.
I also was wondering, I couldn't tell if people were joking about this or not, but it looked like he did a fair catch signal as a right. celebration, like trying to be cheeky about it, and then it like threw him off.
This is what I'm talking about. I think he got caught between trying to catch it where you you basket catch it or put your hands up and catch it pluck it, and he literally just decided in the middle.
Well, I think he might have tried to field it like a punt as like a flex, and then midway through was like chickened out. Was like, that's a bad idea.
And I think he almost started to fall over himself a little bit, like the Daniel Jones run. He kind of got off balance. It was all a mess.
It was disaster.
It was relatable, which is a problem. Anytime right. We can relate to anything you're doing on a football field, that's really bad. Also, I can't get lost in the shuffle of worst play of the day. The Jets. The Jets banner, and they I think a bunch of kids or whatever charity, I don't know, they're holding like a big flag that says Jets. It was upside down. Perfect.
Was it a bit, or did they just actually not do it?
It's just the way things are going. Arthur Smith Award for coach that pissed you off. Tomlin not calling a timeout on the last drive of the Steelers game was really rough.
I swear, there's been like an epidemic lately of coaches not calling timeouts.
It's all the Bears Eberflus thing.
You get to save them for the
playoffs.
Dude, who was it? O'Connell was doing it last week. There was another guy doing it. It's like the Falcons, these teams have 2-3 timeouts and there's 40 seconds left and they're not calling them. I don't know what they're saving it for.
It's like rolling PTO over to the next year.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's very specific. It's quarterbacks, especially when quarterbacks are getting sacked. But the clock is starting and they're the quarterback's going to run up and then maybe the coaches think they're going to spike it. And the quarterback's like, I'm going to call a play. And then so it's it's this thing where oh, I would, if I'd known you were going to do that, I would have called a timeout. But now it's been too much time, so I won't do it. And it's Russell Wilson ran, I believe he got 5 plays off in a minute and a half. And 4 of the plays gained 4 yards. He gained 4 yards in a minute in a 2-minute drill. I'm like, you're 34 years old. But Tomlin not calling a timeout was tough. That was tough coaching. And then you mentioned McVay, but I think Tomlin.
Yeah, McVay not playing everybody. Yeah.
Worst ref moment of the day, guys. It happened again. Jalen McMillan, the Bucs receiver, got flagged because the refs thought he was doing a gun thing for first down.
Oh, right.
And so it was funny because his explanation afterward was he was trying to do the 2 fingers forward, but he's like, but my fingers are taped together. So I pointed
Damn
this, not realizing it. He was and then so the refs flagged me and I was like, no, my fingers are taped together.
That's really funny.
Which is amazing. But then on top of it, they're in Tampa Bay.
They're firing the fucking cannons
cannons off a pirate ship in the stadium.
Oh my God.
When they score a touchdown. So they literally what happened was Jalen McMillan got a first down and then the refs flagged him because he was trying to point with his fingers taped together. And then 2 plays later, because you can't gesture like a weapon. 2 plays later, he scores a touchdown, and you can hear in the background they fire 7 cannon shots.
Jesus Christ.
There's like
Every
little
point they
kids in
fire
the stadium.
7.
There's like little kids in the stadium holding like toy swords.
There's swords on the helmet of the team.
They
The
probably
team has
had like a
swords on his
fucking
face.
F-22 flyover before the game too.
And then the best part, the refs didn't know the rules, and then we're also trying to give him first and goal at the 25, which is super not a thing on like a personal foul. Like it's 15 yards back and it's first and 10, and they were trying to give him first and 25, and like they almost did. They lined him up there and they had to undo it. But yeah, I'll never ever get over flags on simulating a weapon when there's a pirate ship.
It's classic.
Okay. Speaking of that game, Craig, Tom Brady announced that Bucs game, and you would never know he fucking played with like 12 of those people for years.
I did learn something from him though. He did say that if the Bucs lose, it's possible their season could end today. So it's not all bad. He also said there's no love lost between these two teams. Insightful. Good to know.
It's actually impressive how much football Tom Brady talks about without really you ever knowing that he played football.
I think I could just slide in and be Brady in the booth. And if they never cut to the booth, if you could make my voice sound like his, nobody would ever know.
To get like an AI thing.
Yes, I think you could do that. Mayfield rolls out, sees McMillan, an absolute dot. What are we doing?
Dude, Demario Davis, who's a linebacker on the Saints, made a tackle. And Brady literally was like, Demario Davis, I used to call him Super Demario because he's just super tough, super strong. He's 36. They say he's on the decline. I don't see any decline with Super Demario.
Oh, God. Brady has a little bit of an accent, and I don't know what it is. It's like he's from Northern California. He says he over enunciates certain letters. Like
his
P's
accent
and
is they
B's.
redesigned his jaw after he went 16-0. That's Giselle redesigned his jaw.
Avoids pressure. And I'm like, what are you? It's like you just read that word for the first time and you're trying to pronounce it. It's like
for as much as we make fun of Collinsworth with the pass rush, Brady says a lot of words really weird.
Dude, also respect to Collinsworth, pass rush is hard to say. That is that is genuinely a tongue twister. Brady being like, pressure is so weird. They got that big body. It's just odd. He said like socks instead of sacks the other day. Trying to avoid socks. Just odd all the way around. It's odd. His speaking style is odd. It sounds like nobody I've ever heard.
I think he's in his own head.
I can't wait. You know he's doing the Super Bowl.
Are you serious?
Yeah, right? Isn't it Fox this year?
Oh my God, he is.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be the best.
I am so overjoyed. I totally forgot he's doing the Super Bowl. That poor guy. I almost feel bad for him.
You know how like sometimes you can be reading something and then you find yourself really super conscious of reading each word where you're like, oh, now I'm just like reading the words to myself instead of just reading. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you ever had that issue where it's just like you like overthink it and you just start to like you're like reciting the words of a book to yourself in your head versus just like reading it without thinking? I feel like that's what he's doing as like he's talking like that.
It's almost like he accidentally took an edible and then they were like, Brady, you're on in 30 minutes. And he's like, what?
God.
I thought I was off today. You know what? I'll just pretend no one will know I'm high. And he kind of announces games like that.
Dude, Lindsay Lohan just did a Christmas movie, Our Little Secret. She does edibles and has to give a sermon at church. And it's a lot like that. Wait, please email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com if you know. Give us ideas for a drinking game or something we should come up with for Brady doing the Super Bowl. We need to come up with like a perfect idea.
Yeah, we really should. That's
email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com if you have any ideas for what we should do with Brady, like a watch along game with Brady in the Super Bowl. DK, you mentioned other weird stats from you collected?
This was inspired. Ian Hartitz tweeted this out, and I was like, oh my God. Alec Pierce led the Colts in receiving this year with 824 yards on 37 catches. He led them in receiving with 37 catches. Every one of his catches was like 50 yards.
Is that a record for reaching 800 yards on that few catches?
I don't know.
That might be up there or down there.
This one's going right out to Kai. Quentin Johnston finished the season with 711 receiving yards. Cooper Kupp, 710 receiving yards. Can you fucking believe that? They didn't play the same amount of games, to be fair.
Yeah.
But still, mind-boggling.
Quentin Johnson went off.
What'd you
today.
just
He had
say?
like 170 yards, 13 catches.
What
I know,
did
he
you
looked
just say,
pretty
DK?
good. I said mind-boggling. It's a quote from a movie.
It's from Blades of Glory.
Oh, yeah, that's it. I was
Oh,
trying to
wow.
remember where it was from.
Deep cut, nice. I just
You
every
know
now
when
and then
you
I gotta
get
see if I can
your
get you.
thoughts trapped in a bottle?
Heifetz, like in the wild, was like, "What did you just say?"
You say mind bottling? Yeah, I did. Like when you get your thoughts trapped in a bottle.
Oh my god!
Is that the one where he has the brush made of whalebone?
Yeah.
He uses like horse shampoo.
Chaz Michaels.
That's Michael Michaels.
That movie's
The
good.
Iron
I haven't seen
Lotus.
it in probably 15 years.
We
I
should
know.
rewatch that one.
That one is good.
Do that one for.
I don't know why that one got lost. That movie was funny.
Jazz Michael.
Yes, Michael.
The Iron Lotus was the name of the final
Iron
trick,
Lotus.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Anyway, the Quentin Johnson one was my favorite. More receiving yards than Cooper Kupp. And then here's one that just like, of course, Mike Gesicki finished with more fantasy points than Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
He also had more catches and more yards. than
Oh,
Kyle
here I
Pitts.
got Kyle Pitts at two. Our final Kyle Pitts in a lie. 2 tight ends who outscored Kyle Pitts in a lie award.
Okay.
Our final one of the year. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Dallin Holker,
Nah. I'm out.
Devin Culp,
Ooh.
EJ Jenkins.
Look, guys, I want to be honest. I've never heard of any of those people.
I don't think I've heard of EJ Jenkins.
Dallin Holker, Devin Culp, EJ Jenkins.
Dallin Holker famously teammates with Dante Pettis.
Sure.
They're tight.
Okay.
Devin Culp is a Buccaneer. He had a bunch of catches last week. I don't think this week. I don't remember him this week. I don't know who EJ Jenkins is. Who's that?
EJ Jenkins is a real tight end for the Eagles who outscored Kyle Pitts today.
Oh
God
my
damn it.
God.
EJ Jenkins outscored Kyle Pitts, as did Dallin Holker. Devin Culp, real tight end who came just shy of outscoring Kyle Pitts.
Damn it, EJ Jenkins.
I think
I
Michael-
debated coming up with like Golden Globe people, but like
That's
EJ
what I thought
Jenkins
you were
actually outscored him. I didn't need any fake people. EJ Jenkins, I don't know who that guy is.
Dude, the Eagles have like 8 tight ends.
I don't know, they got a lot. Any other weird stats, DK?
This is for you, Craig. I just want you to know that Aaron Rodgers threw more touchdowns, 28, than Patrick Mahomes this year, 26.
My guy.
Same amount of picks. Aaron Rodgers had more passes of 20 plus yards than Patrick Mahomes, 51 to 40, and almost an identical yards per attempt, 6.7.
I've come all the way around.
I don't think a lot of the other stuff was similar in terms of success, but those statistics, they're
Boys, I've come all the way around.
Literally stats.
I think stats for quarterbacks are dumb. I think wins are a pretty good stat for quarterbacks.
I know, right?
Like the 15 wins really does summarize the Mahomes year. Like, and
We've
the
gone
5
full
wins
circle.
really
Stats
summarizes
really are a quarterback
Like,
stat. Or,
wins-
wins are a quarterback stat.
super related to the quarterback. I don't know.
I just feel like it's gonna be funny because in 10 years we'll look back and be like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers. That was actually a decent year for him.
Yeah. When I'm on Mars
Pretty
with my
good
children
stats.
in 2050, they're going to look back and be like, oh, Rodgers was good all the way to the bitter end. And I'm going to say, yes, he was, son.
Yes, he was, Elon.
And then he won a Super Bowl for the Steelers in 2026.
Hold on. You guys, you can't comment on Aaron Rodgers without giving your vax status.
Oh,
That's a
true.
rule.
I've been
True,
immunized.
true. Shit, if he can say it, we can say it.
The only other thing I wanted, the college football games, which at this point was like so long ago, I know, but I just had to shout out Cam Scatterbo for being an absolute monster. That guy's crazy.
That guy
That
is
guy's a
crazy.
psychopath.
Is that guy
I
going to be
love
good
him.
in the NFL or no way?
I will find out. He's going to be on every team I have. I
We'll
love him.
find out.
I'll die for him. So Cam Scatterbo is this running back for Arizona State. I have never seen anything quite like what he did in the Peach Bowl. We had like 100 yards through 3 quarters, and he's pretty solid. And then they cut back to like the beginning of the 4th quarter. This is Arizona State versus Texas in the quarterfinals. and they cut back and he's just like vomiting. He's getting an IV and they're like, yeah, he's just been vomiting for like the entire commercial break.
It was like if Matthew Dellavedova had like 48 points in the finals.
And also it's like if Matthew Dellavedova swallowed Matthew Dellavedova. Like that's kind of what it looks like. It's like two Matthew Dellavedovas in one. And so Scatabo
just a lunch pail guy.
Yeah.
Coach's son.
Great name.
First in, last out.
Grady, yeah. Just he's kind of like a running back if like a Christian McCaffrey was like a Danny
Toby
Woodhead,
Gerhardt,
Rex Burkhead, yeah, kind of like
Wait, who's the guy that was on the Madden cover whose name I missed?
Gerhardt.
Peyton Hillis.
Oh,
yeah,
Peyton
Hillis. Yeah, he's going.
Man, how many yards? Peyton Hillis had a real year that one year.
I know. So Cam Scattergo, he gets the IV, comes back, he throws a 42-yard touchdown pass on 4th down. And then to cut it to 8, and then he comes back and he gets a 62-yard pass and then runs in a touchdown and then runs in the 2-point conversion to tie the game. And then at the end of that, he had more yards than Texas did at that point in the game.
You know what's funny? Peyton Hillis did not have that good of a year that year.
Dude, it was a fan vote for the Madden cover. It was a fan vote, and the Browns fans were like, this is our chance. And they voted in Peyton Hillis.
What
they
was
did a
his
Madden
stats?
bracket.
He ran for 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns.
Dude, they just had a Madden bracket.
I don't remember it that way, Craig.
This is the era of
If
the
you
internet.
asked me, I would have said 1,516.
This was the era of the internet when like
1111?
no one realized what you could do with votes. This is when they had the British research vessel did a vote and they named it Bodie McBoatface because that's what won the vote.
Right.
Like they were still doing votes on things that mattered and like holding to it, which is ridiculous.
And this was in an era when running was more popular, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 2010.
Bucky Irving had 1,100 yards this year with 8 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, well, let's see here. Chuba Hubbard, 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. He had a Chuba Hubbard-esque year.
It's cover Madden.
I guess we do play 17 games now, though. So there's that.
Right.
All right. Craig, what's going on with Golden Globes? So Shogun crushed.
Shogun crushed, as did Amelia Perez on the film side. And Wicked kind of shut out. You know, there's this new box office award now that awards box office achievement. And it's funny because
What?
I actually think you don't want to win it.
Isn't that what the money's for?
Yes. It's basically a way to get stars to show up to this event and they get an award. And they get people to watch because now the Wicked cast is there. But I actually would argue that, you know, if you're Wicked and you want to win an Oscar, winning the box office achievement award and then not winning any other awards, it actually makes you look worse because it makes you seem like less of an awards worthy film and more of a popcorn film. So it's like, I actually think it's having the opposite effect. Maybe it's working for the Globes, I guess, to get people to go. But I hate the award.
That's dumb. That's stupid.
The Globes are kind of fun. I don't know. Nikki Glaser hosted, who I like generally, but I actually thought she was quite tame. There was a lot of buzz about her coming out of the gates, firing from the hip, and I don't think she did it all. She was good. I thought she was fine. Funny.
I like that she said that Benny Blanco was brought to you, was here because of the genie.
Yeah, it was like one of his wishes.
Do you want it as a comedian? Is it a good thing? I suppose it probably is, but is it a good thing to be remembered for like going so hard? Everybody was like, "What the fuck?" You know, like a Ricky Gervais type of deal.
It's kind of what the Globes like are, and I
like everyone's like, I'm very uncomfortable.
I think it elevates you, to be honest. Ricky Gervais was in the perfect sweet spot because he
cannot watch this.
He didn't give a shit, and
Right.
he was like, I don't care if any of you hate me. The best joke he ever said was like, if ISIS had a streaming service, you'd call your agent. And he just said that on stage at like the Globes 5 years ago.
What did you say that about?
Because he was talking about Apple getting into TV, and he was like, "You guys are all pathetic. You know, if ISIS had a streaming service, you'd call your agent right now."
Has he been on any Apple shows?
I don't think so.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I don't know. Globes is weird. TV, movies mixed into one.
So,
it kind of doesn't work. It's super clunky.
I have a question about outfits, but then I have a question. Though, I think Golden Globes are fun to watch, but it is funny that they do Shogun, which came out in April of last year, right?
Yeah,
like
of last
time
year,
ago.
2024. Yeah.
That was last year.
Oh, right. We're in a new year.
I know, right? But Shogun released in February of 2024 is when Shogun came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were also like 11 months ago, and there were also movies winning tonight, like with Adrian Brody, that are not actually out yet.
What do you mean? Brutalist is out.
Is it?
Yeah, it came out in December, I think.
But like, is it in like widely in theaters?
No, but I'll have these movies. Sing Sing has been out for 3 months and it was never widely released. So I mean, there's plenty of these movies that are like not seen. I think Brutalist has made like $1 million. Yeah, I mean, it's very weird. Also, Dune didn't get nominated for box office achievement. I don't understand that.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know how these things work. Here's my real question. So I don't know if you guys saw, but someone tweeted, I can't stop thinking about 3 months ago, that Cam Newton, every time he dresses, looks like he operates a hot air balloon. Cam Newton dresses like a hot air balloon driver. And I was thinking of that when I saw Jeremy Strong show up to the Golden Globes. Like Jeremy Strong dressed like Cam Newton, dressing like he runs a hot air balloon.
Wouldn't you not want to wear the tallest hat imaginable if you're a hot air balloon instructor? It's like that's the worst idea.
That's fair.
Yeah, Jeremy Strong's really going for it. He looks like he's in the Beastie Boys tonight.
That's the beginning of Succession. It looks like.
Yeah.
He's listening to the Beastie Boys in that.
Someone also called him the Alpha at an antique store.
Oh, yeah. I can see that. I was talking to Kai about this, actually. The guy who's like the showrunner of Shogun, Justin Marks, his IMDb, like his resume or whatever, is basically Shogun. He was a writer for Top Gun Maverick, and then he ran, I guess, is that the past tense?
Yeah.
Counterpart, which is one of my favorite shows of all time, J.K. Simmons.
Oh, is that the one with the two worlds and they split time by accident?
Yes. Anyways, I just wanted to give a fucking plug for that because it's like a great show that it was on Stars or I can't remember what it was on, and they basically canceled it and then they tried to get it like picked up. It was like essentially like Arrested Development. It's gonna be HBO. We got to get it's Showtime. We got to get the Home Builders Organization. You remember in Arrested Development where they were trying to get picked up by another network, and they like wrote it into the script.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, it's Showtime. Boy, we gotta get the HBO on this.
That's right, man. They're really ahead of the
fucking
game.
Best show of all time. Anyway, second best show of all time. Counterpart, loved it. Super.
Shogun
good.
Also great.
Shogun also very good.
All the actors won too, which was awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Did the main guy
Toranaga? I think he did win.
He did.
No, well, the main Hawthorne guy. I thought he was kind of annoying.
Oh no, the white guy didn't win.
He
wasn't even nominated.
What do they call him?
John Blackthorne.
John Blackthorne. No, fuck that guy. No,
that guy definitely auditioned for Game of Thrones and didn't get it.
Yeah,
I didn't like his character.
I think so. I feel like TV is tough to recommend because everyone has like their lists of like shows. And everyone has like a list of 20 shows they've been told to watch. And it's like, yeah, I'll get to it. And the only two shows I recommend are The Bear and Shogun because they're respectful of your time. Because Shogun, I know they're going to do a second season, but it's like, it's one season really. And it's like one season show. And it's like the most incredible show ever. And then The Bear is like multiple seasons, but they're like 25 minutes a pop for drama.
And you can just skip the third season.
And you can skip the third season. That's true. You really should. But the second season, no, but
that
it's
was
so
really
worth
nice
it, though.
of them.
It's worth it though. Watch the first two. But like the first season of The Bear is shorter than the Scorsese movie.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Anyway, but yeah, Shogun's like a perfect TV experience. I think Shogun's the most perfect television experience I can ever remember. Like a limited series.
So are they are doing a second season? When's that coming out?
They got a fuck ton of money to make.
They're still writing it. It sucks that they're doing another one.
Because the whole point was they're like, we're not going to do another one. And they're like, are you sure?
Yeah.
I think that's what happened with Ted Lasso.
But we could make money.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Karen Carlos, for producing this episode. Thank you, Austin. Thank everyone for listening. Email us at ringoffantasyfootball@gmail.com. Ideas for what we should do for Tom Brady with the Super Bowl. And yeah, we're going to keep rolling here. We're going to hit coaches and all the firings and all the news that's probably already broken by the time you're listening to this. We're going to hit that for Monday night going into Tuesday. And then, yeah, we're going to preview and we have fantasy rewatchables coming this week, which is going to be a lot of fun. And then, yeah, wildcard previews. And then, yeah, we're going to be reviewing the playoff games and previewing them. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And the draft show, baby. NFL draft show. DK's got his mock draft coming out this week. And yeah, we're about to dive into the draft. So
yeah,
it's all coming. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, 9 Inch Nails.
Nice. Trent Reznor.
Nin, as I like to say.
That
Trent
soundtrack
Reznor.
is really good. The Challengers one.
Oh, it's the best.
It's incredible.
They won the Globe tonight.
And it's different. It's different. Like it is. They tried something weird.
Yeah, it's super cool. It actually it has become the sound of tennis to me. Anytime now, like on Instagram, people will just be playing tennis and they'll just put that song on it, like in their story.
Yeah.
It's great.
Is Trent Reznor essentially now just the guy from Forgetting Sarah Marshall? He's just like a soundtrack guy. He makes I just make tones.
Just Jason Segel.
It's just like dark, ominous tones.
That's selling him a little short.
I'm
but yeah.
obviously I'm
I think he won an Oscar, but yeah.
No, but I mean, like he did The Social Network, which is good, very good soundtrack.
He did all those Fincher
for dark,
movies.
ominous tones.
Yeah, he did like Gone Girl and what's Dragon Toucher.
Craig responded like earnestly. I think that's selling him a little bit short, but yeah.
Yeah, perhaps some parallels
mind
there.
boggling.
That's mind boggling.
DK, have you seen Challengers?
I have not.
Worth a watch.
Should I?
Yeah, just don't watch the last minute.
I like how it ends.
Oh, ending sucked.
Don't watch the last minute of Challengers and don't watch season 3 of The Bear.
You'll be just fine. You have perfect experiences. Yeah.
Don't watch season whatever the final one is of Game of Thrones and you'll be fine.
No.
I actually thought it was fine. It was entertaining enough.
We probably can't get into that now.
It's neither here nor there.
You know who else won a Globe tonight?
Who?
E.J. Jenkins.
Were you lying? Was E.J. Jenkins not a tight end?
No, I Googled it. It's a real guy.
No, E.J. Jenkins did actually outscore
motherfucker.
Kyle Pitts today. Yeah. I think that's the most random one that we've ever had outscore Kyle Pitts.
E.J. Jenkins.
Dallin Hoker and E.J. Jenkins.
Who's the guy that Chris Ryan does the impression of all the time?
Wayne Jenkins.
Wayne Jenkins.
Like his son.
Oh my God.
All right, goodbye, everyone.